Hi everybody and welcome. My name's Stuart Haden. I'm founder of Storm Beach, specialising in authentic leadership, where I work with people to identify what's authentic to them, their inner values, and how they can apply those skillfully in their external contexts, be that life or in sport or in work, wherever that might take place. In terms of my role, I'm obviously a coach, which I'm going to talk more about in this short video. I work as a facilitator as well, so working with large and small groups, online and offline, depending on the context. I work with the consultants, so a bit more background to organisations, help them develop things like culture and personal energy. And then finally, I'm an author of a book that I'll talk a bit about later on, because it impacts on my coaching philosophy, and also do a lot of speaking as well, which is about research and being cutting edge and promoting some of the work I do and involving other networks. So that's a bit of a sense of who I am in all portfolios, but this particular video is about what you might be able to expect from me if I was to work with you on a one-to-one basis as a coach. So for me, this comes down to three things. First of all, it's about me. So you're asking the question, well, who is this person? What's their experience? What's their journey been? How do they end up in coaching? What's their coaching style, philosophy, all those kind of things. Now, to me, that is important, and that probably is the question you've got right now. But in coaching, what I embody here is that it's much more than that. There's much more to explore, more dimensions, more layers than just that single viewpoint. Okay? So I can answer that question, but really, whoever's watching this has got their own take on that. So if you want to know how many hours of training I've done, or how many hours I've logged, which I do and have to do for my practice, and reflection, and who I connect with, and my philosophy on coaching, and great. But you really need to be specific on that and just ask me that question. So that really comes down to the local conversation that we would have either on or offline in our chemistry meeting, if you want to call it that, connection, where we find out who we are and what we do. So, but a lot of that will come across in everything you see. Go on the website, see some of the videos, it'll describe my philosophy. I suppose if I could put it down to two things, it's about being authentic. So my philosophy will be about exploring your inner values and how you apply them externally, and it's definitely about energy, which I'll talk a bit more about later on as well. Your personal energy, your drive, your enthusiasm, commitment, those kind of things. The second part, if you like, that's the traditional model of coaching, if you like, where it's all coach-led and it's done to someone else. Now, I don't buy into that at all. It's not done to you. Don't just respond or receive this coaching, because it's about you. And the book that I mentioned earlier, which I've written, is titled "It's Not About the Coach." Now, the whole thing for me, if you think you're working with me in a coaching relationship, it's not about me, it's about you. Okay, it is still about me, but really it is about you. So let's think about what coaching might be like when we work together, and let's see what you can bring to that. Because what you bring, in my view, is as important, if not more important, than what I bring to the coach. Because I'm not going to do this to you, I'm not going to take you on the journey, we go on it together. So, looking into the book, and you can find loads of resources from the book and online stuff that I put together, it's about 9 things, and you really will need to have an awareness of all 9 things in order to work with me and really get to that success. Number 1 is about being authentic, which I've already mentioned, so locating your inner values. So I'll repeat that because that is really important. Locate your inner values and skillfully apply them in your context, work or life, whatever is appropriate for you. Number 2 is about change. How well do you adapt to change? How well can you bring that attitude to change? And finally, about your emotions, how well can you listen and tap into your emotions and use those skillfully to signpost you in terms of making choices, etc. There are 9 things, so about a third of the way through. Number 4 is about curiosity. How curious are you about yourself? How curious are you about other people, your context that you're relating to? So that's number 4. Number 5, right in the middle of the map, if you like, this is about challenge. So it can almost share as a border with all the other things I'm going to mention, because that level of challenge has to be there. We have to provoke a bit of friction, a bit of anxiety, just to kind of move and shift some of the things that might be well established in your life, your patterns. 6th area to look at is about questions. Coaching is about questions. So my philosophy is about asking you the question, not necessarily needing an answer, but certainly for you to ask questions of yourself and others around you. So it's definitely about that question. Number 7 is about goals. We don't start talking about that at the very beginning, although you'll have a sense of why you want to be coached and what your overarching goals are. But to be really clear and precise on what those goals are, more if this was a journey towards the end of those conversations. Penultimate one, 8, is about your network, so being willing to challenge your network, shift and change things people that you look at and do and be part of things that you thought, no, I can't be part of that, I can't go to that meeting, I can't speak to that person, I won't be able to email that, I need to get rid of those things because they're slowing me down. So what's your network like? And that fundamentally will change, and we can observe that in the coaching. And the final bit that I mentioned already, which you know this, is around energy. So what's your motivation, drive and enthusiasm for some of the things that you've been working on, particularly your goals? So how do you manage to stay calm and relaxed? What physical energy do you bring? Again, back to your emotion. What's driving you there? What's bringing your thoughts together? Where's that going? And finally, creative spirit, what's happening there as well. So that's what you can bring, really. And what that means, if we've got that, if we've got me, which I will bring, because that's what I'm trained to do, I'm paid to do that, I will bring my experience. I will create a very structured program for you if that's what you need, or it'll be a very free or loose program if that's what you need. I have to flex and be different. I have to work out, with your help, what we need to do. I'll bring that every time. But to make it fly, if you can bring this and more, and what's relevant to you here in terms of being ready for coaching, then that together, in my view, is the third paradigm of coaching that really is not tapped into at all yet, which I would say it's not about coach-led, it's not about coachee-led. Chuck those away, throw away the books. It's around coaching, where we're both on the journey and there's no real kind of being done to, it's just a mutual coming together. There might be some debate, but not too much. And you find that more in traditional coaching where it's a debate. You know, I'm saying one thing and you're agreeing or disagreeing, there's a debate. There might be a bit of discussion, but again, that's not really bringing much value yet. Where I bring something, you bring something, and we say, okay, thank you for that, and we just back and forth without too much disagreement, if you like. There'll be definitely something called discourse. You've probably spotted by now I'm using Ds. So debate, discussion, and discourse, and the last D is soon to follow. Discourse is where we'll speak with authority around something. And that can come into coaching, and I'm comfortable with that, where I will bring with authority something to the conversation. You will bring to authority something that is important to you or what you know to be true. But really, when we bring these two things together, the coach and the coachee, to just flatten it and call it coaching, that's when we get to, beyond that discourse, to get to dialogue, really, the fourth D. And dialogue is about naming the world. Dialogue is about going in with a blank canvas and not really sticking to those perceptions and judgments of what people have told you, and just go in, both of us are saying, well, what is this? So someone said to me the other day, oh, I'm just facing this, I don't know what it is. Great, that's dialogue. What is it? And she was starting to say, well, it's a bit of fear. Okay, is it fear? We question, we explore, we listen, we observe. Actually, it's not fear, there's a bit of excitement there as well. Okay, questions. What is this excitement? Where does this fear come from? And it started to materialize. It was not just about what she was afraid of, in terms of the kind of like the darkness, if you like, the worry about finances and failure and stuff like that, perception of other people. It turned out when we started to really name this in terms of true dialogue, it was also about the fear a little bit, the excitement a little bit of being great, of what I could do, and can I live up to that potential? And that develops over time. We don't know what that is. And that really, for me, is coaching. If we can both work really closely together, we'll go on that journey together. And that's why I feel privileged and blessed to do what I do, because I'm on that journey. I'm on that personal development journey. I'm relating right now, in this moment, to that person's fear, excitement, lightness, darkness, and all that story and where we got to. And it wasn't something that happened in seconds. That was, that was weeks and months of dialogue, conversation. Okay, so I hope that's helped. Obviously, as I said, if you want to know more about me, do ask a specific question. But really, to go through a CV of coaching is just too much detail for what you might need. But I suppose I've done that just by default, by being here and saying hello, etc. You've got what you can bring to it. If you're ready enough for that, you don't need all of those ready, but we can develop those. Then we can look at coaching and exploring and naming what it is, what we need to do.